In 2024, several well-known people in the GBS community shared their stories about realizing they were gay or bisexual after being married to women. Each person had their own unique experience. Some felt scared at first, while others found strength in telling their truth. Many received support from their families, including their former wives, who remained good friends. These stories help others understand that it's okay to be yourself, even if it takes time to figure out who that one is. Jason Moraz. Jason was once engaged to a fellow musician named Tristan Prettyman, and their fans loved seeing two creative souls together. Over time, though, they decided to end the engagement. Later, in 2018, Jason wrote a heartfelt letter to honor the LGBTQ+ community, which he shared publicly. In this letter, he revealed that he identifies as bisexual, saying he feels love for both men and women. People appreciated his honesty and the gentle way he spoke about his feelings. By opening up about his attraction to different genders, Jason helped more people understand that love can take many forms. His story serves as a reminder of how powerful honest self-expression can be. Michael C. Hall. Michael C. Hall, who captivated audiences as the complex protagonist in Dexter and previously in 6 Feet Under, married actress Jennifer Carpenter in 2008 after they met on the set of Dexter, where they portrayed siblings. Their chemistry as scene partners translated into what appeared to be a deep personal connection, though their marriage would later end in 2011. In 2008, during an interview that generated significant media attention, Hall shared a nuanced perspective on his sexuality that challenged conventional labels. While maintaining that he primarily identified as heterosexual, he acknowledged experiencing attraction that transcended traditional categories, describing his sexuality as existing on a spectrum rather than fitting into rigid definitions. This revelation came at a time when public understanding of sexual fluidity was still evolving, and many people viewed sexuality through a more binary lens. Hall's candid discussion helped advance a more sophisticated dialogue about sexual identity. Elton John. In the late 1960s, Elton John was engaged to Linda Woodrow, and those close to him at the time recall his genuine attempts to follow society's conventional path. Years later, in 1984, he married Renate Blauel, a talented sound engineer he met while recording at AIR Studios in London. The wedding in Sydney, Australia, drew international attention, with many seeing it as a fairy tale union of music industry professionals. However, beneath the public displays of affection and shared professional interests, Elton struggled deeply with his true identity. The internal conflict took its toll, and in 1988, the couple divorced amicably. Shortly after, Elton made the life-changing decision to publicly acknowledge his sexuality, telling Rolling Stone magazine that he was gay. This admission marked a profound turning point in his life, leading to a period of renewed creativity and personal growth. In 1993, he met David Furnish, and their connection blossomed into a deep and lasting love. They converted their civil partnership into marriage in December 2014, celebrating with family and friends in an intimate ceremony at their Windsor estate. Mark Heron. Mark Heron married Judy Garland in Las Vegas in 1965. Their wedding was super exciting, but their marriage only lasted 5 months. While Mark had been keeping something very personal hidden, he was gay. After leaving Judy, Mark found true love with another actor, Henry Brandon. But they stayed together until Henry passed away in the 1990s. Mark's story shows us how hard it was for gay people in Hollywood during those times. Many had to hide who they really were because they were scared of losing their jobs or having people treat them badly. Some even got married to people of the opposite gender to keep their secret safe. But the best part about Mark's story is that he finally got to be himself. Even though it meant ending his marriage with Judy, his journey reminds us that being true to yourself is super important, even when it's not easy. Allan Cumming. Allan Cumming married actress Hilary Lyon in 1985, when they were both building their careers in British theatre and television. They met as drama students at the Royal Scottish Academy of Music and Drama, sharing a passion for performing arts. During their 8-year marriage, they appeared to embody the ideal artistic couple, supporting each other's creative endeavors while maintaining a seemingly perfect relationship in the public eye. After their divorce in 1993, Allan went through a period of self-discovery that led him to understand his sexuality more deeply. He briefly dated actress Saffron Burrows, But this relationship helped him recognize that his attraction wasn't limited by gender. In a groundbreaking moment of personal truth, Allan came out as bisexual, challenging the entertainment industry's often rigid expectations about sexuality. This self-acceptance opened new doors in Allan's life. He met Grant Schaffer, a graphic artist, and their connection proved profound and lasting. They celebrated their love with a civil partnership in London in 2007 and then married in New York in 2012 when same-sex marriage became legal there. Their relationship has flourished, with both men supporting each other's creative work and advocating for LGBTQ+ rights. Peter Allen. Peter was a gifted singer and songwriter who once married Liza Minnelli, a famous actress and performer. Their union lasted a few years, and for a while people saw them as a brilliant showbiz couple. But after around 7 years, Liza discovered Peter with another man, which led to their divorce. Peter later embraced being gay and began a deep and loving relationship with Gregory Connell. Sadly, both Peter and Gregory passed away from illnesses related to AIDS, leaving behind a legacy that still touches hearts today. His story reminds us that everyone deserves to love freely and that embracing our truth can be both painful and powerful. David Bowie. David Bowie was a super special musician who changed how people think about music and being yourself. Back in 1972, when most people didn't talk about these things, David did something very brave. He told everyone in an interview that he liked both men and women. This was really surprising to his fans because not many famous people talked about such personal things back then. David was married to Angie Barnett for 10 years, from 1970 to 1980. Their relationship was very interesting to people who followed music news, but what made David extra special was how he helped people understand that it's okay to be different. He showed everyone that you don't have to fit into just one box. Because of David's bravery in talking about who he was, lots of other musicians and fans felt more comfortable being themselves too. Joel Grey. Joel Grey is a talented performer who became famous for his amazing role in a musical called Cabaret. For 24 years, from 1958 to 1982, he was married to Jo Wilder. During their marriage, they had 2 wonderful children. One of their children, Jennifer Grey, followed in her father's footsteps and became an actress too. You might know her from the movie Dirty Dancing. In 2015, when Joel felt the time was right, he made a brave decision to tell the world something very personal. He was gay. He had kept this part of himself private for many years. Lots of people who loved his performances in theaters and movies celebrated his courage in being honest about who he was. Joel's story reminds us that it's never too late to be true to yourself. Robert Reed. Robert Reed was an actor who made millions of people happy playing Mike Brady, the kind dad in a TV show called The Brady Bunch. In 1954, he married Marilyn Rosenberger, but their marriage ended after a few years in the late 1950s. Robert kept a big secret for most of his life. Even though his close friends and the people he worked with knew he liked men, this was because a long time ago, people weren't as understanding as they are today. Many actors worried they wouldn't get jobs if people knew they were gay. It wasn't until after Robert passed away in 1992 that everyone learned about this part of his life. His story helps us understand how hard it was for some people to be themselves in the past, and why it's so important to make sure everyone feels safe being who they are today. Brian Lord. Brian Lord met Carrie Fisher in 1991, and they quickly fell in love. Within the entertainment industry, they were seen as a power couple. Brian was a talented Hollywood agent, while Carrie was the beloved Princess Leia from Star Wars and a brilliant writer. In 1992, they welcomed their daughter Billie Lourd, who would later follow in her mother's footsteps as an actress. Their relationship lasted until 1994, when Brian came to understand a profound truth about himself. He was gay. This realization led to their separation. Instead of letting their split create distance, Brian and Carrie worked together to maintain a strong friendship and co-parent Billie with deep care and dedication. Over time, Brian found love with Bruce Bozzi, and they married in 2016 when same-sex marriage became legal. Remarkably, Carrie remained a close friend to both Brian and Bruce, showing how modern families can reshape themselves with understanding and acceptance. Their daughter Billie grew up surrounded by this example of how parents can support each other even when their romantic relationship ends. Elgin Charles Williams. Elgen was married to acclaimed actress Jackie Harry, known for her roles in 227 and Sister Sister during the late 1990s and early 2000s. Their relationship captured public attention. Both were respected figures in the entertainment industry, Elgen as a successful producer and Harry as an Emmy-winning actress. Together, they adopted a child and created what appeared to be a picture-perfect family in Hollywood. However, in 2011, during a candid television interview, would later be considered groundbreaking. He was bisexual. He spoke openly about his journey of self-discovery, revealing that throughout his life, he had formed meaningful connections with partners of different genders and had always felt most authentic when expressing his true personality. While this revelation surprised some fans and industry colleagues, Elgin described feeling an immense sense of relief after sharing his story. His honesty and vulnerability resonated deeply with many people, particularly those struggling with their own identity. He became an unexpected role model for authenticity in an industry often criticized for promoting artificial personas. Today, he is celebrated not only for his professional achievements, but for his contribution to greater acceptance and understanding of sexual identity. Jonathan Plummer. Jonathan Plummer and Terry McMillan's romance captured public imagination when they met in 1995 while she was vacationing in Jamaica. Their relationship, despite a 23-year age difference, became the inspiration for McMillan's best-selling novel, How Stella Got Her Groove Back, published in 1996. The book, which drew heavily from their own love story, resonated with readers worldwide and was adapted into a successful film starring Angela Bassett and Taye Diggs in 1998. The couple married in 1998 during the height of the book and movie's popularity, seemingly embodying a modern fairy tale of finding unexpected love. However, their relationship took a dramatic turn in 2004 when Jonathan, then 30, revealed to Terry that he was gay. This difficult revelation led to their separation and subsequent divorce in 2005, accompanied by intense media scrutiny and public discussion. The aftermath proved challenging for both parties, with McMillan initially expressing anger and hurt in interviews, while Jonathan faced the complex task of rebuilding his identity. Despite the painful end to their marriage, their story evolved into a powerful narrative about personal truth, sexual identity, and the courage required to live authentically. Jonathan's decision to come out, though initially devastating to their relationship, ultimately contributed to broader conversations about sexuality, marriage, and the sometimes unexpected paths that personal discovery can take. Little Richard. Little Richard married Ernestine Campbell in 1959 during a period when he had temporarily stepped away from rock and roll to focus on religious pursuits. Their marriage lasted until 1963. Coinciding with a complex time in both music history and American social culture. While the public celebrated Little Richard's electrifying performances and pioneering contributions to rock and roll, with hits like Tutti Frutti and Long Tall Sally revolutionizing popular music, he privately grappled with profound questions about his identity and sexuality. His flamboyant stage presence, complete with makeup and elaborate costumes, pushed boundaries in an era when gender expression was far more rigid and restricted. Throughout his career, Richard experienced intense internal conflict between his religious beliefs. In later interviews, he spoke candidly about his attraction to men, though this acknowledgement came after decades of maintaining public silence on the matter. This revelation added crucial context to understanding both his artistic expression and personal struggles, particularly during the conservative 1950s when being openly gay could destroy an entertainment career. His eventual openness to his sexuality helped reshape public perception of his legacy, transforming him from merely a dynamic performer into a more complex figure who had navigated the challenging intersection of fame, personal identity, and societal expectations. His story exemplifies the profound impact of living authentically, even when that truth emerges gradually over time. Barry Manilow. Barry Manilow entered into marriage with Susan Deixler in 1964, when they were both just 21 years old, high school sweethearts trying to build a life together in an era when early marriage was a common societal expectation. Despite their genuine affection, the marriage dissolved after only 2 years as Barry immersed himself in his burgeoning musical career, spending long hours performing in piano bars and writing commercial jingles. Throughout the 1970s and beyond, as his star rose with hits like Mandy and Copacabana. Barry maintained an intensely private personal life, recognizing that being openly gay could potentially devastate his career during a less accepting time in entertainment history. His relationship with Gary Keefe, which began in 1978, remained completely hidden from public view for decades, known only to a close circle of trusted friends and associates. In 2015, at the age of 73, Barry made the courageous decision to publicly acknowledge his sexuality, simultaneously revealing his long-term relationship with Gary, who had been not only his romantic partner, but also his manager and business partner for nearly 4 decades. The couple had actually married quietly in 2014 at their Palm Springs estate. Barry's journey from private struggle to public authenticity resonated deeply with many fans, particularly those who had faced similar challenges in their own lives. His story exemplifies how societal pressures and professional concerns often led performers of his generation to conceal their true selves, while also demonstrating that personal growth and authentic living remain possible at any stage of life. Al Reynolds. Al Reynolds and Star Jones's romance captured extensive media attention in 2004, culminating in a lavish wedding that was heavily publicized and partially sponsored through Jones's connections as a co-host of The View. Their ceremony at St. Bartholomew's Church in New York City drew 500 guests, including numerous celebrities, and during their marriage, Al transitioned from his investment banking career at Merrill Lynch to pursue other business ventures, often appearing alongside Star at high-profile events. However, their relationship began showing signs of strain, leading to their separation in 2007 and subsequent divorce in 2008. In the aftermath, entertainment media circulated various speculations about Al's sexuality, fueled partly by comments Star made during interviews and in her memoir. Rather than immediately addressing these rumors, Al maintained his privacy for several years, focusing on rebuilding his life away from the spotlight. His decision to come out as bisexual in 2017, through a thoughtful video interview with Radar Online, marked a significant personal milestone. In his revelation, he discussed the challenges of navigating his identity while being in the public eye and dealing with years of speculation and gossip. His coming-out story resonated particularly within the African American and financial services communities, where conversations about sexual orientation had often been more constrained. Philip Schofield. For 27 years, he was married to Stephanie Lowe, building a life that included raising their 2 daughters, Ruby and Molly, while simultaneously becoming one of Britain's most beloved television presenters on This Morning. His warm, engaging presence on morning television made him feel like a familiar friend to millions of viewers who watched him daily. In February 2020, at the age of 57, Philip made the courageous decision to come out as gay through an emotional statement on Instagram, followed by a moving interview with his co-host, Holly Willoughby. This revelation came after decades of internal struggle and self-discovery, during which he had maintained his commitment to his family while privately grappling with his identity. What makes their story particularly remarkable is the unconventional path they've chosen in response to this life-changing disclosure. Rather than pursuing divorce, Philip and Stephanie have maintained their deep bond, redefining their relationship on their own terms. Their daughters have demonstrated extraordinary maturity and compassion, standing firmly by their father's side and publicly expressing their pride in his courage to live authentically. The family's approach challenges traditional narratives about what happens when a spouse comes out, showing how love can evolve and adapt while maintaining its essential strength. Philip frequently expresses profound gratitude for his family's acceptance and support, acknowledging that their understanding has been crucial to his journey toward living openly and honestly. Richard Cromwell. Richard was an actor admired by many in the 1940s and 1950s. He briefly married Angela Lansbury. She was only 19 years old, and he was much older. Their marriage lasted from 1945 to 1946, surprising many because of their age difference and the suddenness of the union. After their split, Angela later described their time together as a mistake. Reports suggest that Richard was gay, which likely strained their relationship. At the time, society wasn't always accepting of same-sex attraction, so he kept his feelings under wraps. Richard's story gives us a look at how times have changed and reminds us of people's need to live freely. Rock Hudson. Rock was a major movie star who seemed to have everything, including a marriage to Phyllis Gates in the late 1950s. Still, rumors followed him, and eventually Phyllis confronted him about her suspicions that he was attracted to men. She brought proof from a private investigator, accusing him of hiding his true orientation. Rock, concerned about his image in a very conservative time, had used his marriage as a protective cover. Only after many years did the public learn of his struggles and the pain he faced trying to fit society's rules. In the end, Rock's story shows how difficult it was for stars to live openly in that era. Tony Richardson. Tony was a celebrated film director who married actress Vanessa Redgrave in 1962. They had 2 daughters together and stayed married until 1967. During that time, Tony continued to see other women, but those who knew him well understood that he was bisexual. He chose not to talk about it openly, likely because of the era's attitudes. Later, when he was diagnosed with HIV, Tony decided to be more honest about his true identity. His journey sheds light on the struggles artists have faced in hiding who they are, especially when public opinion was harsh. Tony's story reminds us that self-acceptance can be a long and courageous process. Clive Davis. Clive's journey of discovery. Clive Davis was married twice in his life. His first marriage was to Janet Adelberg, and later he married Elizabeth Wunto. He had 4 wonderful children and was very successful in helping singers become famous, like Whitney Houston and Barry Manilow. Then, in 2013, Clive wrote a book where he shared something very personal. He likes both men and women. He explained that his feelings about who he likes changed as he grew older. By being honest, Clive helped other people in the music business feel more comfortable talking about their own lives. And Ray Boltz. Ray's path to truth. Ray Boltz seemed to have a perfect life that many people admired. He was married to Carol Boltz for more than 30 years, and everyone knew him as a Christian singer whose songs like Thank You and Watch the Lamb were played in churches everywhere. But in 2008, after being married for so long, Ray decided to tell everyone something very important. He was gay. Even though this news surprised many people in his church community, Ray knew that being honest about who he was would help him find peace and happiness. Stanley Baxter. Stanley Baxter, a funny actor from Scotland who made people laugh on TV, married Moira Robertson. They stayed married for 46 years until Moira passed away in 1997. Many years later, in 2020, when Stanley was in his 90s, he shared a big secret in a book. He had always been gay. He explained that during his younger years, when he was making TV shows and getting married, people weren't as understanding as they are today. That's why he kept this part of himself hidden for so many years. Raymond Burr. Raymond's private life. Raymond Burr, who played the famous TV lawyer Perry Mason, was married to Isabella Ward from 1948 to 1952. Their marriage was short, and after they separated, Raymond kept his private life very quiet. While he never told the public, his close friends knew that he spent more than 30 years with someone he loved, a man named Robert Benavides. To protect himself in Hollywood, Raymond sometimes made up stories about his past, showing how hard it was for actors back then to be themselves. Charles Laughton. Charles Laughton married actress Elsa Lanchester in 1929, and they stayed together until he died in 1962. He became very famous for movies like The Hunchback of Notre Dame. While Charles never told the public about his true feelings, people learned after he passed away that he had been gay or liked both men and women. He and Elsa were more like very good friends than a regular married couple, but they kept this private because people weren't accepting differences back then.